Hey everyone, Cheoff Geoff here. Welcome to my kitchen. And if you're new to the channel, thanks for lending me your eyeballs, and don't forget to hit the old subscribe button. If you like what you're seeing, give me a big thumbs up. If you got any questions, send some comments in there. I'm always happy to talk about the food we're producing here. So today's recipe is also going to be posted on cheffgeoff.ca. Lots of recipe cards archived on the website if you're looking for some other great cooking ideas. All right, so if you want to think like a chef, you can't be intimidated by any kind of food preparation at all. And there's some food products out there that really makes you feel like, oh, I can't make that at home. So specifically, let's talk about cheese. Cheese feels like something you got to go to the farmer's market and get something really nice and fancy, or you got to go to the farm itself, or you got to go to the grocery store and so forth. But it's not true. You can make cheese at home, and you can do it really easily with only 4 ingredients. And all you're going to need is some lime, some whole milk, some vinegar, and some salt. So with that in mind, we're going to be making Queso Fresco. But we're going to take it just a little bit farther, and we're going to make it 3 different ways with 3 different flavor profiles: sweet, spicy, and savory. So let's just get started. So Queso Fresco originally started in Spain, and it literally translates as fresh cheese. And there's just those components that I was speaking about. What you really need is whole milk. So I'm using 3.5% homogenized milk. I've got it in my pot here. This is 2 liters, and I'm bringing it up to a boil. Not a boil. I'm bringing it up to temperature on kind of medium heat. And any kind of liquid, whether that's milk, water, etc., it will boil at 211 degrees Fahrenheit. What we want to do with this is bring it up to 190 degrees. So we can add our acids to help separate the curds from the whey. So essentially what we're doing here is there's a chemical reaction that's going to happen when this thing comes to that temperature. When we add the acids, what it's going to do is it's going to cause all the milk fats to separate, and it's going to create cheese curds, and you're going to be left with cheese curds, and you're going to be left with whey. As you can see, we're closely approaching, we're at about 150, we're getting close to 160 degrees. You're starting to see a little bit of steam rise from the heat and from the milk. So the first thing we're going to do is start adding a little bit of acid. So I've got just a whole lime here. I'm just going to squeeze this lime right in. Takes a little bit of work, but that's okay. Whoa, hey, where do you think you're going? So we're adding this lime in. If you were using just a liter of milk, I would go with just half a lime, but this lime is going to create that chemical reaction like I was talking, and it's also going to help add just a little bit of flavor and a little bit of true acid flavor, and you're already starting to see a little bit of curds come out there already. Perfect, we're almost at 190, so we're just going to shut this thing off, and I've got about a half cup of apple cider vinegar, and you're just going to slowly add it in, just a little bit at a time. And you're just going to work it through with this slotted spoon that I have here. There we go. You're already starting to see the curds start to separate, just a little bit at a time. Sometimes they'll stick to the bottom, so give it a good little stir from the bottom. As you can see, guys, making cheese at home is super easy. This fresh cheese is going to become so versatile. You're going to see all the different flavor profiles that we're going to work. There we go. So now we're starting to see pure separation. We're starting to see curds, and we're starting to see whey. And again, it's very important that once we have that temperature that we had at 190 degrees, we were shutting it off. Great. See, there you go. There's our cheese curds starting to separate. There's our last little bit. 1/2 cup, just under a half cup separated. Perfect. So now we're just going to let this sit in that residual heat. We're going to give it about 10 minutes, then we're going to strain it through some cheesecloth, and we're going to start making some cheese, guys. All right. So we're 10 minutes into the future here. I've got some 100% cheesecloth. I've got a fine mesh strainer directly underneath, and I kind of got it clipped with these little clips here just so it'll all stay in place. We've got our cheese curds ready to go, and we're just going to slowly pour this through the cheesecloth. So if you don't have cheesecloth, I have done this before with just J-cloths. It's not quite as precise. However, it will work. As you can see, there's all those all the cheese curds are coming out, and all that that whey is going to separate, and we're just going to be left with some fresh cheese, some Queso Fresco. Unclip it. It's made a lot. So it is a little hot. I don't want to burn myself, but I'm surviving here. And I'm just going to kind of spin it. Stay together, there we go. And we're just going to let this thing hang for about 10 minutes to get all this excess whey out. All right, guys, let's make some cheese. So we're about 30 minutes into the future here. We've had it hanging. Our Queso Fresco is ready to go. So now we got to kind of mix it in and get some flavor going. So what we got to do is we got our fork and we're just going to break it up. As you can see, it's looking a little dry. So we've gotten all that whey out. But what we want to do is we're going to work it for about 5 minutes and just going to bring back all that creaminess. The key thing we have to add is some salt. And we're just going to add this to taste as we go. So what I'm using here is Malden's sea salt. It is sea salt flakes. You can, if you don't have that, not a big deal. You can just use kosher salt, whatever salt you have hanging around. But at this point, once you have it seasoned and ready to go, you got cheese. You got cheese ready to go. That's your Queso Fresco. But we're just going to take it a little bit farther, and we're going to add all those different flavor profiles that I was talking about. Okay, so as I'm mixing here, what I'm doing is I'm kind of getting all the fats to be almost elastic, so you're almost kneading it like dough. And you're going to get, the more you mix it, the more it's going to come together, and it's going to start to get that real creaminess factor that you really love to see with Queso Fresco. Traditionally, this was created in Spain, but it's really become a part of Mexican culture and Mexican food culture in the cuisine. So the first flavor profile we're going to go for is muy caliente. We're going to have a little bit of heat. So in this bowl, I've got some chopped cilantro and some chopped pickled peppers. So the pickled peppers are these here, and if you want to harken back to my archive, take a look at how to quick pickle anything, and you can use these. If you don't have pickled peppers, you can use some jalapenos or whatever. So what we're going to do is we're going to divide some of this cheese into here. We want to be able to make sure we're leaving enough for 2 other batches. Looks like a good amount there. We're going to add just a touch of garlic. Like a 1/4 teaspoon basically, and a few shakes of good old Belician heat hot sauce. And we're just gonna mix this up. We're gonna get some muy caliente Queso Fresco. Oh, it's already smelling really good. Get those herbs, and you're gonna get a lot of texture from the pickled peppers, and you're gonna get that nice herbaceous finish with the fresh cilantro. The garlic's really going to kick it up a notch. This is going to be really tasty. All right, this is ready to go, nicely mixed. It's looking creamy and so forth. I've got a little mold right here. And you can kind of use whatever molds you got hanging around. These are our little half-liter deli pods that we use in the kitchen. You're just going to stamp it down. Oh yeah, even just the way it feels on the fork is so creamy and different from just that kind of dry, crumbly cheese that we started with. Great. So we're gonna stamp it down right onto this plastic wrap. There we go. We're gonna wrap it up. We're gonna move on to our next one. Flavor profile number 2, we're going to go for a little bit of sweetness. So this combination is going to be, we're going to have some honey. We've got some fresh rosemary that I picked from the garden. So in you go. And we're only using just like, you need a very, very small amount of honey. We're going to start with like just a teaspoon. Get that in there. We're going to add just a touch of cracked pepper. And this is just a nice competing kind of flavor profile from that muy caliente style that we were going for to begin with. Looking good. Just a little bit more honey. A little more honey. Touch more pepper. And there we go. So the beauty of this too is you can play with whatever flavor profile you want. If things you got hanging around in your fridge, or you've got some herbs in your garden, you know, kind of the world's your oyster, because Queso Fresco is basically like a canvas. You can add whatever you like to it, and it'll really pick up that flavor profile that you're working for. And this is gonna be the same process. I'm gonna make a mold, I'm gonna wrap it up, and I'll move on to the next one. Fresh basil. So our last flavor profile, we're going for a little more savory. So I've just picked some fresh basil from the garden, and I've also chiffonaded it up really nice and fine. But we're gonna add this in. Get in there. And this one is gonna have just a little bit of sun-dried tomato paste. If you don't have sun-dried tomato paste, you can just use sun-dried tomatoes, go to the store and give it a shot. Or you can roast some tomatoes and do that as well. We're gonna add a touch of garlic to this as well. And it's the same process, just kind of mix it up. But I'm gonna give this thing a taste before I move any farther here. Let's see how it is. That's awesome. All right. All right, guys, there's so much cheese in my house right now. So I really hope you've enjoyed learning how to make Queso Fresco from scratch. So what we've got here, and we've got the three different flavor profiles. So our savory, which is the sun-dried tomato and basil. We've got the sweet, which is a little bit of honey, cracked pepper, and rosemary. Muy caliente, a little bit of hot sauce, some pickled peppers, some cilantro, and garlic. Now, we just made these, so I don't want to break into them. It's best that they sit in the fridge for 24 hours. However, I did make a little tester yesterday, and this is the muy caliente, and I'm just gonna kind of cut into it, and you're gonna see it's just so creamy. You can just spread it just like that, and it's gonna go really well in these just like nice little crackers. I'm just gonna give it a taste and see if it's okay. I suspect it'll be all right. Absolutely primo. So I'm gonna keep chewing and keep trying to talk. Maybe I'll spit a few things out. We'll see. I'm not really used to eating on camera, so here I am. I'm just gonna chew, 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 and swallow. Okay. So Queso Fresco is so versatile. So I'm gonna be doing a couple of videos in the next couple of weeks here in August to really showcase its versatility. So one of the first ones that I'm working on will be with my friends at Chef Adventures. I'm gonna build a cheese board, and I'm gonna pair it with a classic cocktail, and we're gonna put it in the series for #DrinkTips. But the other things that we can do with Queso Fresco, there's so many options. But like I was saying before, there is it's really used more often in modern Mexican cuisine. So I think I'm gonna make a taco with it. We're gonna make some Mexican street corn with it. But really, the world's your oyster. So I'm just ready to dive into some of this muy caliente. So I'm just gonna let you guys go. So from my kitchen to yours, guys, bon appetit.